our preferences change as we age in so many aspects of our lives. But one area that is often overlooked is that our preferences actually change for how we prefer our food to be plated. Now, I know since you've been here for a couple sessions before on plating, you are acquainted with the idea of plating and how that can add elegance and appreciation to a meal. And it is the same thing with our young ones among us, the children and kids in our lives. So when we are plating for children, they don't share adult preferences, and this is what science actually shows us. And so what I'm going to do today, I'm going to teach you how to plate to please little minds so that they will be super excited about what they see in front of them and just want to gobble it all up. Welcome to Tingledom. Now, our standard plating advice for adults is that we generally want to have these 3 sections on the plate. We usually have our starch here, our vegetable here, and our meat or protein here towards the front. And this is because this is what is generally considered aesthetically pleasing among the adults in our population. But there were some researchers who set out to find if those preferences are actually shared by children. But what they found was that those preferences are not shared, and that children have quite different preferences to what we do as adults. So while adults tend to prefer 3 items in 3 different colors, 3 main colors, I should say, sauces and that are a bit of an accent item, children prefer 7 different items in at least 6 different colors. So I'm going to show you how to plate with a child in mind. Now, if we look at this meal we have a lovely chicken schnitzel, we have mashed potatoes, corn, carrot, peas, and we have a bit of gravy over here as well. If I were to plate this for an adult, I would take a mound of potato, put that here. Then we would take some of our vegetables and put them over here. We perhaps would only use one type of vegetable, or we might mix these together so it looked like a vegetable medley to give that idea of only one type of vegetable. And then we'd put our schnitzel on top and pour the sauce across it. But you're going to see that with children, we're going to do that quite differently. Now, the thing that adults and children do share is the place of preference for that main protein. Although it is slightly different, but close enough for us to approximate it. So for our adults, we would put our schnitzel just right here. For our children, we're going to put it right here. And you'll excuse me, I do have clean hands. I'm just going to plate this schnitzel by hand. And you'll notice that I've pre-cut this into small pieces as well. And the study that this plating style is based on was done with children between the ages of 5 and 12 years old. Obviously, as you're getting more towards that 12-year-old age, children may prefer more to cut their own meat, but you'll have a better idea of the appropriate size of this little area. Now, another thing that is shared among adults and children is the appreciation of empty space on the plate. So you may have heard maybe one of your children or another children really not liking that the corn is touching the peas or something like that. And so it's really easy to plate for children because you can keep things quite separate and they really enjoy that look. So for this plate, you want to visualize beforehand. We're going to have 7 different items. And our 7th is going to take the place of this bowl in the middle. But otherwise, so we're going to be fitting 6 around, so it'll be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we just want to make sure as we go around that these items are not touching each other. And you notice we only have here 6 items. These are probably the maximum number of items we would consider in an adult meal. I'm going to show you how we have dealt with that in this situation. We'll get to that. So let's go ahead. I'm going to move not to our next position, but here. If things splay around, just build up a nice little tower. Just to keep those separate. Now I think visually it would probably look nice to have our peas here. And we're going to take care of those extra bits so they don't touch each other. So we're going to have our peas. We'll just move our chicken. Maybe I have a few too many peas. We'll put those on like that. Now, the other consideration here, I've chosen a ceramic plate, obviously a white plate. It's the most gorgeous canvas. For very young children, ceramic or glass is not very practical, so you may want another option for plate, but this is just for illustrative purposes. But obviously 10, 11-year-old, this would be, perfect type of plate. So now I think we'll put our corn. Just put a few of our corn here. Carrot, shall I say? We've already got our corn. And the shapes, if you can vary shapes, that can be quite fun for children as well. Actually have another session all about fun shapes and plating, but not for today. And we may just need to shift things around because we still have 2 more slots to fill here. So just make sure we've got enough room for everything. Now we'll bring our potatoes in. Now if you're piping potatoes for the adults, pipe them for the kids. Those shapes are fun for children as well. The other thing you can do is put them in, you can smoosh them into a cookie cutter and then get a fun shape for your mashed potatoes. So you see we've got 5 items here. If these are the items you have for your meal, go for this style of plating. This is a really basic style that will still be really pleasing for your children. But if you want to go for that maximum enjoyment, we're going to get those 2 other elements in. So we're just going to bring around, I have some tomatoes. This is actually something where if your child does not like tomatoes, just put a couple on the plate and see if this arrangement might might not encourage them to try. When it is put out this way, the research isn't really that clear, but my own personal understanding on why this plating is so effective with children is you have to remember that young minds are, all of these flavors and textures are very new. They are not used to the flavor of carrots and the flavor of corn. They haven't been eating them for 30 years. They may have only tasted them the first time a few years ago. And they may not be completely across what that flavor actually means and how to relate to it and what combinations they might like with it. As adults, we're always looking for something a bit different, a bit new, a new variety in the way that we're eating. It helps to excite our palates and really please us to, see these mixtures. But for children, if they really don't like peas, their best bet at finding that they may like peas is by having them all on their own. Because then when they're biting their corn, they're expecting corn. They're biting their peas, they're expecting their peas. If they have a mixture of corn and peas, they are less likely to enjoy it. In the same vein, we'll get our tomatoes to not touch our bowl directly. Let's get our potatoes just over a little swell. In that same vein, while children, if you think about children with French fries and ketchup or that sort of thing, children love sauces, they love to dip things. But if you pour gravy all over this meat, it may not be in the proportion that they like. They may not feel in control of it, and they don't feel like if they don't like it, that they then can't have their meat. It's just overall not a nice way to go about things. But if we put a separate bowl in the middle, and they can dip their own items in there, you may find that they take a carrot and end up dipping that in there as well. So there's a big benefit to plating in this manner. It allows the maximum autonomy for your children. They can choose when exactly they get some corn. They can choose when exactly they get some peas. They can choose exactly how much gravy is on their chicken. And if they want to, they can dip their carrots in. They can put their potatoes in, or they cannot. It allows them autonomy. And when they see this speaks to their mind about that autonomy. This tells them this is what you have. You have all these wonderful colors. You have these beautiful things to eat. And this is going to be a satisfying meal. Yes, that is a great question. So with this meal, obviously we've had to cook these 3 vegetables individually. And so that is a little bit more work. Obviously grabbing the tomatoes, no extra work. Potatoes, we were going to have those already. What I find the easiest way to implement this 7 principle plating with children is to think about it from the beginning when you are preparing the meal. So let's say you're having a stir fry. You may have red peppers, and you may have onions and broccoli and all these different things that you're chopping up, mushrooms and the like. And then you have the chicken. Often we cook the chicken separately. I would take pieces of chicken out so they can just be kept to the side. And I would actually just keep the raw vegetables for the children as well. Just pull out some raw vegetables, put them on the plate, let them have them raw. Then if they want to try some of the mixture, they can. You could even put it in one of the slots. Then if they wanted to have the mixture, they could. They could put it in, you could put it into one of the slots, and then they can again feel that autonomy. It doesn't give you quite that color differentiation that we see here, but it is a good way to introduce. There is another way if you want to introduce new meals or encourage them to eat new things. It's another way, but I think we'll deal with that in our next plating session. I think I have plenty to digest here. So the take-homes are try and get at least 6 colors. So we've got our brown, our red, our white, orange, yellow, and green. So we've got 6 colors. We've got 7 items. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You can even snap a picture of this and show it to your child and ask them, what do they think? Does that look yummy to them? And that'll be the true test